Okay, so meet up in person. Maybe it'll be different. Spoiler alert, it was. First good sign, before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog, his show is dead. There's 60. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it, which he did.
The authoritarian, the demagogue, it goes away when they go away, and he will go away. And we will, and they don't have anybody that's as charismatic as him. He's charismatic. There's no taking that away from him. He's a television star. He is. He's charismatic. I mean, I don't agree with him at all on anything, but, he was.
Donald Trump is the only man alive who can crash a golf cart into democracy, blame the caddy, and still demand applause. He doesn't just bend rules, he repackages corruption as patriotism and sells it with a red hat. Bill Maher and George Clooney see through it, exposing the hollow empire he built on grievance, greed, and spectacle.
Also a bill in Congress to add Trump to Mount Rushmore, because like Washington, he's a patriot, like Teddy Roosevelt, he's a renegade, and like Abraham Lincoln, he's not really helping the theater scene in Washington, D.C.
I mean, the damage that's happening to places like USAID is, it's remarkable in its damage. It's going to be very hard to fix. I am surprised at how effective it's been against the universities, against the law firms.
Maher highlighted a surreal moment. Before leaving for the Capitol, he printed a list of 60 insults Trump had called him over the years. Things like stupid dummy, sleazebag, and fired like a dog. He even had Trump sign it. It was absurd but revealing. The authoritarian mask slips when Trump is forced to laugh at his own cruelty.
Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog, his show is dead. There's 60. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it, which he did. Which he did with good humor, and I know as I say that.
Clooney points out that Trump's charisma is undeniable. He's not a politician, he's a television star. That's why scandals that would have destroyed any other leader only boost his ratings. With Trump, every headline is just episode 53 of season forever.
Yeah, the Kennedy Center is not something I really care a lot about, but I do care that an American president doesn't see anything wrong with him personally taking it over, or that his communications director, Stephen Chung, said it was justified because Trump, quote, is a virtuoso and his musical choices represent a brilliant palette of vibrant colors when others often paint in.
When Congress floated the idea of putting Trump on Mount Rushmore, the satire wrote itself. They compared him to Washington the patriot, Teddy Roosevelt the renegade, and Lincoln the theater man. But with Trump, the only legacy is chaos. Bill Maher called it what it was, the world's longest-running reality show.
He gave me a bunch of hats, but he didn't ask me to take a picture in one, which I appreciated. The guy I met is not the person who the night before the dinner a bunch of nasty crap about how he thought this dinner was a bad idea and what a deranged asshole I was. I read it and thought, oh, what a lovely way to welcome.
Maher warns that Trump's second term wouldn't look like governance. It would look like rehearsal for a dictatorship, not with tanks in the streets, but with stacked agencies, loyalists in every corner, and norms quietly erased. Authoritarianism dressed in a red tie stolen from a clown convention.
I know Donald Trump. That's the thing is people, I have his phone number in my phone book. He was the guy that came to the bars and asked me about which cocktail waitress was single. That's who he was.
This is back in the 90s.
Clooney cuts deeper with Trump's scandals. Take the $400 million Qatari jet, framed by Trump as no different than a handshake. Clooney mocked the absurdity. If Obama had accepted such a bribe, Republicans would still be holding hearings in a Walmart parking lot. With Trump, it was just another Tuesday. Maher skewers Trump's obsession with loyalty. Cabinet members weren't chosen for competence, but for who could flatter him best. It turned government into a bad reality show where contestants competed with compliments. Fall short and you were fired live on air.
Being targeted by the administration?
Sure, everybody worries about it, but if you spend your life worrying about things, then you won't do things. You know, we like everybody have a family, we have a life, and we have and we try to, you know, live and do.
Clooney highlights Trump's hostility toward the press. He doesn't just dislike journalists, he vilifies them, conditioning supporters to see accountability as treason. Clooney warns, without a free press, democracy becomes a dictatorship with good branding. Then comes Project 2025, a blueprint to turn government into Trump's family business. Replace watchdogs with sycophants, silence experts, erase independence. Maher calls it what it is, a slow-moving coup, counting on Americans being too distracted to notice.
Me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, you know, the best thing about him, his hair. I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing, waiting for the button next to the Diet Coke button to get pushed and I go through the trap door. But no, he laughed, he got it. I said to him at one point, listen, dog, that's unusual in the White House. He said, well, a lot of the presidents, they had a dog for political reasons. I said, no, people love dogs, that's what that is.
Clooney hammers Trump's global reputation. Once, America was seen as a beacon of democracy. Now, allies see it as a cautionary tale. Every handshake with dictators, every broken alliance, chips away at U.S. credibility. Clooney says Trump didn't just cheapen the presidency, he cheapened the country itself.
And finally, new rule, Republicans have to stop excusing all the dictatory stuff that comes out of Trump's mouth by saying, he's just kidding. He says stuff. When Trump proclaimed last year that if he won re-election, he'd be dictator on day one, Republicans said things like,
I think it was a joke.
It's entertainment.
We all know Trump uses unique expressions when he explains things.
Maher mocks Trump's war on reality. Every fact is bent until it flatters him, from crowd sizes to scandals. It's national gaslighting, forcing Americans to doubt their own memory. Clooney warns, when dishonesty becomes a path to power, a generation learns that lying louder is the fastest way to lead.
He's going to be a factor for a while. It's so funny because, you know, he was just this knucklehead. I knew him before he was, you know, a president. He was just a guy who was chasing girls. You know, every time you went out, he'd come over and be like, what's the name of that girl? You know, that's all he was. And the idea that there's this whole group of people that, you know, that they think he's the champion of, which he certainly can't stand in real life. But, you know, he's gonna play this out.
Together, Maher and Clooney paint a devastating picture. Trump isn't a misunderstood populist. He's a conman who discovered outrage sells better than policy, and division wins elections faster than unity. He wanted statues, but he got late-night punchlines. He wanted reverence, but earned ridicule. And in the end, the comedy writes itself. The tragedy is that it's all real.
when I challenged Ben Shapiro here on Trump being too dismissive and reposting that Liz Cheney deserves to be tried for treason, Ben answered sarcastically, wait, he said shit? That's crazy. Donald Trump said shit? This is such an interesting position for a political party to take about their leader. Trust us, there's nothing to worry about. Our guy is just full of shit.